8:15, welcome back. September is Suicide Prevention Month. It's a crucial time to spotlight mental health and the urgent need for open conversations about suicide. Tiffany Bittner, Director of Suicide Care Initiatives at the Harris Center, joins me now in Studio A to help us understand how we can do our part to break the stigma. Good morning. Thank you so much for chatting with us. I'm really excited that you're here. Today is what, September 2nd?
Second, yes.
So we're kicking this
right out the gate.
Right out of the gate.
Absolutely.
This is a really important conversation to have.
Very much so.
And I welcome it because this really is a safe space.
Yes.
And as we know, so often people struggle in silence. They don't necessarily go out their doors for help. They don't reach out for that help. So if you are watching and you are listening and you're struggling, know that you're not alone.
Absolutely.
And we're here to help. We're here to facilitate a conversation.
100%. And that's one of the biggest messages I think that we can get out this month to everybody, is that so many people don't realize how many truly struggle with those feelings and those thoughts and that day-to-day mental struggle, because you don't want the stigma, right? That's what we're always trying to break, that stigma. No one wants to be known as the person that's struggling, right? Yeah. But we have to get to a point that it's okay to struggle. It's just like when you struggle with a medical condition. So we certainly want people to reach out, but we also have to make sure that we educate ourselves so that when people do reach out to us, we know how to talk to them and we know what to say and we know how to make them feel comfortable. What resources, absolutely.
Yeah. I'm so glad you talked about the different ways people struggle, because struggling is quite normal. For people who don't struggle, if they say they don't struggle, I'm calling your bluff. But
absolutely.
Right.
Yeah.
It's normalizing that and letting folks know that there are resources, there are things that you can do. And so with that, it's really neat that the entire month of September is dedicated as Suicide Prevention Month. So although we should be having these conversations, and we do often throughout the year, this month we're spotlighting the initiatives that are taking place in our community. Talk to us about the different resources for folks.
Yeah, so one of the things, obviously, there's anytime someone's in a crisis, we always have 988. That is the national suicide line. That's the crisis line.
Okay, let's talk about that though for a minute. For people not familiar, this is relatively new. What, a year?
They changed the number. They had changed the number a while back. So it used to be a normal like 1-800 number, and now it's just 988. You can call it, you can text it. It's great, and we answer it locally. So actually, the Harris Center answers 988 right here locally. So when you talk to someone, you're not talking to someone way far away. You get someone locally, and we can get someone dispatched out to your house and whatever resource you need immediately. Awesome. Yeah.
Awesome. 988.
Yeah. And then there's also the Harris Center crisis line. So there's 713-970-7000. I tell people, it's funny you say, a lot of people you don't realize that are struggling. And the thing is when I teach people about suicide prevention and I talk to people about, how we can recognize things, the biggest thing I tell people is, you have to be kind, and we have to remember that everyone's a human, right? Because all you can see is what's on the surface. You don't know what is under the water, right? It's that whole iceberg theory. And so we have to remember that everyone has struggles. And so it's very important to keep that perspective as we talk to people day to day. But as far as, resources, we have the Harris Center. You can walk into any one of our clinics at any time to get an assessment. You can walk in and just say, hey, I'm struggling. I need some help, and we can get you a same-day assessment there. Obviously, we have emergency rooms if you have someone that's in crisis. But the biggest message we have to tell people is, get out there and be okay with talking to someone, and be that. We need to be the resource for them as well.
And I just want to mention too, this isn't dependent on whether you have insurance or you don't.
Absolutely not. No.
This is for anyone and everybody.
The Harris Center is the local mental health authority. So if you don't have insurance, it doesn't matter. We don't discriminate on anything at all. So you come in, and what happens is you get an assessment, and we'll see what your eligibility is. What programs are you eligible for? What services do we think you need? And if you are having those suicidal thoughts, we will work to keep you safe. And I think the one thing people need to understand the most is that we're not here to put you in the hospital.
Yeah.
That's the thing we don't want to do. So many times people don't want to speak out because they think the second they say suicide, they're going to instantly be put in a hospital and have their belongings taken away. And that's the last thing we want to do, because when you are already struggling, the last thing you need is to not be in your own environment. So we work really hard at the Harris Center to keep you in your environment and give you a sense of what protective factors you have. So those things that can keep you safe. We'll safety plan with you. So we'll talk about what triggers you, what makes you feel better, who you can call in that crisis moment. We'll talk to you about lethal means access and make sure that you have a plan for those type of things. So our goal is to let you recover at home and let you get on this journey with the people that you're with, in the space that you're with, not to put you in a hospital. And people need to understand that, because that's a big stigma about it.
And I'm so glad you mentioned this as well, because I think too, a lot of those situations, a lot of those factors you described, that leads to more concern for these folks struggling. And those concerns then only inundate them even more so. So,
absolutely,
you know, be rest assured, that's the goal, is to get you better and not put you.
Absolutely. We don't want people to miss work. Just like you said, like financially. I mean, when you have to miss work because you're in the hospital, it's a financial strain. You know, if you have children or you have a family, being away from your family. So, you know, there are instances where you do need to go to the hospital, and that is simply to be able to really recoup and recover. And at that point, that's fine, but the goal is not hospitalization.
We know every person's journey is different, but talk to us about common themes that we often see among folks who are struggling, things that we should be on the lookout for.
Sure. So some warning signs. You know, there's things like when sometimes people actually start talking about ending their life, and it's if you know, we live in a social media age, right? So are we posting about death on Facebook and on Instagram and things like that? Do you notice that someone who used to enjoy so much doing certain things, now they don't enjoy it anymore, right? This feeling of hopelessness or major mood swings, right? So we're going from really, really sad to really, really happy and back to really, really sad. And, you know, looking at that, if someone starts maybe giving away their belongings, you know, someone seems very, they're talking very down on themselves or talking about being a burden. You know, those are certainly things. But I think the one thing that we always like to remember too is when you look at people, not everyone's going to show you those sad signs of struggle. You have people like Robin Williams. I always refer to him. No one knew the struggles he had. He was happy, right? And he died from suicide. And so it's not always the person that's so sad. It's really knowing the people around you and knowing when there is a significant mood shift and making sure we recognize that and say something.
And if you see something that is alarming, what should you do? How should you proceed if you suspect the person that you love, that you're talking to, is suicidal?
Sure. So we have an acronym at the Harris Center that we started using last year, and it's called LIVE, is Live to Prevent. And it's listen, intervene, validate, and encourage. So listen non-judgmentally, be an ear. You don't have to solve everything. Intervene, how do we keep them safe in this moment? Don't leave them alone. You know, get them to where they need to be. Validate. Thank people for having the courage to come out and talk to you about it, and then encourage them to get the help that they need. But don't leave people alone. If you know that they're in genuine struggle, help them get to the right resource, whether it's 988, whether it's a local emergency room, whether they just need to be with you for a little bit, you know, but make sure that they feel safe talking to you and knowing they have a space.
It goes back to being kind.
Being kind.
Empathetic.
Right.
Tiffany Bittner, as always,
absolutely.
we so much appreciate you.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for stopping by. And we'll continue these conversations throughout the month of September.
Yes, we are. I'm really excited about that.
Love it. What's coming up next? When will you be back?
So I will be back. We have a segment next time about 988. We have one about, it's actually National Recovery Month as well. So we'll be doing a segment about that 1 week.
Sometimes they go hand in hand.
Absolutely, they go hand in hand. And then we will also do one about a new program that we have at the Harris Center where we have designated specific team members to work with clients that are suicidal. So we're really excited about that. I'm excited to be here and look forward to the month with you guys.
So the conversation continues right here on KPRC 2 Plus now at 8.